What separates the weak from the unstoppable? It isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't even intelligence. It's grit. The ability to endure, to push, to rise when others fall. And in this journey, we will uncover 7 Machiavellian principles of grit. Rules that will sharpen your mind, harden your will, and make you unbreakable. From building a vision so fierce it haunts your sleep, to falling in love with boredom when others quit. From weaponizing pain into fuel, to slamming every escape door shut, so quitting is no longer an option. You will learn how to dominate not through bursts of effort, but through ruthless consistency, micro wins, and an alter ego that never surrenders. These are not soft lessons. These are weapons. They will sting. They will test you. But if you stay with me until the end, you'll leave with a blueprint, a war manual that you can carry into every arena of your life, your work, your body, your relationships, your legacy. Machiavelli once said, "Men admire boldness. They follow those who seem destined for greatness." By the end of these principles, you won't just understand grit. You'll embody it. You will become the one others follow, the one others fear, the one who refuses to break. So let me ask you before we begin, are you ready to destroy weakness? Are you ready to step into fire, endure, and rise? Because once we start, there is no turning back. 1. Build an unbreakable vision. Grit doesn't start with talent. It doesn't even start with discipline. It begins with vision, not a weak dream, not a someday fantasy, but a vision so sharp, so alive, that it burns in your mind every morning you wake up and every night before you sleep. Now let me ask you, what vision keeps you awake at night? Machiavelli would tell you this: a prince without vision is a pawn of fortune. If you don't choose your vision, life will choose for you. And trust me, life doesn't choose kindly. He studied rulers who drifted, who waited for luck, and he saw them crushed by men who had clarity. Cesare Borgia didn't rise because he was lucky. He rose because he obsessed over one thing, building a state. And when his enemies hesitated, his vision made him strike. Your vision must be like that. It must terrify you with its size and electrify you with its possibility. If it doesn't scare you and excite you at the same time, it's not strong enough. Think about it. At work, do you just want a raise? Or do you want to become the kind of leader who changes the entire direction of your company? In life, do you just want to be fit? Or do you want to build a body that commands respect the second you walk into a room? In society, do you want to blend in? Or do you want your name etched into conversations, remembered long after you're gone? Machiavelli would say, "Men admire boldness. They follow those who seem destined for greatness." So here's what you do. Write down your vision in one brutal, clear sentence. Make it so big that people laugh at you when you say it. And then, protect it like a crown. Speak it less, work it more. Let them mock you, because soon they will serve you. An unbreakable vision is not just a picture in your head. It's a weapon. It pulls you forward when the world pushes back. It blinds you to doubt. It deafens you to mockery. It chains you to your destiny. So I'll ask you again, what's the vision that burns in your mind? And are you bold enough to let it consume you?
Hey guys, we're Strategy, based in Abu Dhabi. We use AI tools to make these concepts come to life, but it's our amazing team who goes deep, breaking down powerful philosophical ideas and showing how they really apply in everyday life. We hope you enjoyed today's content.
2. Fall in love with boredom. Anyone can push when it's exciting. Anyone can sprint when the crowd is cheering. But that's not grit. True grit is doing the same task 1,000 times when nobody's watching. Champions are not made in glory. They're made in boredom, the endless drills, the repetitions so dull they could drive the average man insane. And yet, those repetitions are what transform a soldier into a weapon, a man into a master. Ordinary people quit when things get dull. They crave novelty. They chase distraction. They want the rush of something new. But warriors, they endure the boredom until it becomes second nature. They train until what others call boring becomes their battlefield advantage. Machiavelli would say this: "The prince who relies on fortune will fall. The prince who builds discipline will endure." He saw rulers lose their kingdoms because they could not stomach the slow grind of preparation. They wanted quick glory, and they were crushed by men who quietly trained, drilled, and fortified. Look at your own life. At work, do you abandon the project once it gets tedious? Or do you grind until your skill becomes unquestionable? In fitness, do you stop once the routine feels repetitive? Or do you push until every movement is automatic, sharp, dangerous? The truth is, mastery is boring. Building an empire is boring. But boredom is where the weak run and the strong remain. Machiavelli would remind you, discipline in silence creates power in public. So when you feel that itch, when your mind screams, "This is dull, this is pointless," remember, that moment is the test. That moment is where grit is born. If you can fall in love with boredom, you become untouchable. Because while others quit, you sharpen. So let me ask you, will you let boredom break you? Or will you make boredom your greatest weapon? 3. Use pain as fuel. Don't run from pain, weaponize it. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid pain, pretending it doesn't exist, or drowning it in distractions. But grit is not about escape. Grit is about fire. Every insult, every betrayal, every failure is not a wound. It's a log you throw into your internal furnace. While the weak whimper, you sharpen. While they break, you burn hotter. Pain is no longer punishment, it's propulsion. Machiavelli saw this clearly. He wrote, "Necessity impels men to act." A prince surrounded by enemies does not have the luxury of despair. A man betrayed cannot simply lie down. It is pain, struggle, humiliation, defeat that forces men to find strength they never knew they had. Comfort makes you soft. Pain makes you dangerous. Look at Cesare Borgia, the very man Machiavelli admired as the model of power. Betrayed by allies, surrounded by rivals, poisoned and weakened, yet even on his knees, Borgia plotted. He used betrayal not to cry about fairness, but to tighten his grip. Machiavelli loved him not because he was moral, but because he turned pain into strategy. He suffered, but he did not stop. Now bring it to your own life. At work, when you're passed over for promotion, do you sulk? Or do you grind so relentlessly that the next time, your excellence cannot be ignored? In business, when a partner betrays you, do you fold? Or do you sharpen your tactics, learn who to trust, and come back stronger? In relationships, when someone breaks your heart, do you collapse? Or do you build yourself into someone so unshakable that no rejection can destroy you again? Machiavelli would say, men must be beaten or pampered. In other words, when pain comes, you only have two choices: be destroyed by it, or use it to dominate. The insult your boss threw at you. Fuel the friend who turned on you. Fuel the failure that left you humiliated. Fuel. Each piece of pain is a resource, a log for the fire, a blade for the arsenal. Understand this. Your greatest growth will not come from victories. Victories make you relax. Victories make you soft. Your true growth will come from wounds, from scars, from the days you thought you couldn't continue, but did anyway. And here's the truth: most will never accept Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the proof you are alive. Pain is the signal that you are in the game, not watching from the sidelines. Every cut, every burn, every humiliation, these are signs you are moving forward, not hiding. So the next time you feel pain, don't curse it, don't run from it. Smile. You've just been handed fuel. You've just been given energy others will waste. You've just been invited to grow sharper, harder, more dangerous. The weak treat pain as a cage. The gritty treat pain as a weapon. And once you learn to love it, you become unstoppable. So tell me, when life cuts you, will you bleed out? Or will you sharpen the blade and strike back harder? 4. Master the no escape rule. Burn the boats, cut off easy exits. If you want grit, make quitting impossible. Delete the backup plan. Close every escape door. Force yourself into the position where the only way forward is through fire. Because grit doesn't grow in comfort. Grit grows when survival depends on victory. Machiavelli would tell you this: men act when they must. A prince who leaves himself a path of retreat will one day take it. A general who keeps an escape route guarantees hesitation in his army. But the leader who blocks every road backwards, he creates men who fight like demons. Think of the ancient commanders who landed their armies on foreign soil and then burned the ships behind them. No return, no surrender, no maybe. Their soldiers understood, win or die. And because death was the only alternative, they fought with ferocity no enemy could match. Machiavelli praised this kind of necessity. He wrote that fortune favors the ruler who leaves no option but to fight. When a man knows he cannot escape, he becomes something more than human. He becomes inevitable. Now ask yourself, where in your life are you leaving exits open? Do you say you want to build a business but keep clinging to your safe job just in case? Do you claim you want to transform your body but still keep junk food in the kitchen? Do you dream of a relationship but refuse to cut ties with the distractions that keep you weak? Every backup plan is a chain on your ambition. Every safety net is a leash around your neck. Machiavelli would call it cowardice. Because if you truly want transformation, you must stand in the flames with no way out. That's when your mind sharpens. That's when your courage grows fangs. That's when the ordinary man quits, and you keep moving because you have no choice. Burn the boats. Tell yourself, this is it. I win, or I die in the attempt. Because when there is no escape, you stop negotiating with your weaker self. You stop bargaining with excuses. You act with precision, with violence, with necessity. This is why so few people ever taste greatness. They love the illusion of safety. They keep their boats tied, their exits open, their fallback plans intact. And so they dabble, they drift, they quit. But those who rise, they delete the exit strategy. They march into the storm with no retreat. And because they cannot quit, they conquer. So I'll ask you, are you still keeping the back door open? Or are you ready to slam it shut and fight with everything you have? 5. Weaponize. Micro wins. Big victories take years. Empires are not built overnight. Kingdoms are not conquered in a single battle. Grit is built by stacking tiny daily wins. One more rep, one more page, one more step. Small in the moment, invisible to others. But over time, they turn ordinary men into legends. Machiavelli would remind you, power is preserved not by great leaps, but by steady control. He saw rulers fall because they reached too far, too fast. And he saw others endure because they mastered the art of small, relentless consolidation. One ally today, one city tomorrow, one law the next. Each micro-win was a brick, and brick by brick, empires rose. Think about it. The weak wait for the big break. The promotion, the perfect chance, the one dramatic moment to change their life. But that moment never comes. Why? Because destiny doesn't arrive in a single strike. Destiny is forged in the countless unseen strokes of daily discipline. At work, this means sending one more pitch after rejection, finishing one more line of code when others stop, reading one more page when your colleagues switch off. In health, it's one more set when your body begs you to quit. In society, it's one more handshake, one more call, one more deliberate step toward influence. Small actions, invisible victories, stacked until the world cannot deny you. Machiavelli would say, "The prince who masters the details masters the state." In other words, it's not the grand gesture that makes you powerful. It's the daily habits that make you inevitable. These micro wins are not glamorous. Nobody applauds you for them. Nobody sees them. But that is why they matter. They belong to you alone. And in time, they compound. Small edges become massive advantages. Minor habits become terrifying power. What begins as tiny victories transforms into an empire of momentum. Understand this: grit is not about massive explosions of effort. Grit is about weaponizing the smallest of actions. And here's the brutal truth. If you can't win the small battles, you'll never win the great war. So don't chase the glory of one big win. Chase the mastery of daily victories. Because when you stack them long enough, the empire you've built will look like destiny. So I'll ask you, what's the micro win you're stacking today? Or will you waste it, waiting for the miracle that never comes? 6. Train the mind in hostile environments. Seek discomfort on purpose. Don't wait for chaos. Walk into it. Cold showers, early mornings, brutal workouts, speaking in front of hostile crowds, rejection drills until you stop fearing no. Grit thrives only when you deliberately step into the storm and teach your mind to stay calm inside the fire. Machiavelli understood this. He saw weak princes crumble when the environment turned hostile because they had only trained in comfort. They lived in palaces surrounded by flatterers, and when war came, when famine came, when rebellion came, they collapsed. But the rulers who thrived, they were hardened by discomfort. They prepared their minds in the harshest conditions, so when the world tested them, they did not break. He admired Cesare Borgia for this very reason. Borgia thrived in treachery, betrayal, and blood. He expected chaos. He didn't wait for calm seas. He sharpened himself in storms. Machiavelli knew this was no accident. Survival belongs to the man who turns hostile environments into training grounds. Now look at your life. You want grit? Then stop hiding from the discomfort you fear most. If you fear cold, embrace it. If you fear failure, seek it in small doses until rejection no longer stings. If you fear speaking, put yourself in front of people again and again until the fear dies. Every act of voluntary hardship builds a mind that does not shatter when true chaos comes. Think of the soldier who trains in mud, rain, and hunger. When war arrives, he is unfazed. The politician who sharpens his tongue in the hardest debates becomes untouchable in council. The entrepreneur who suffers countless failed pitches becomes immune to no and keeps pushing until the yes arrives. Each hostile environment becomes a laboratory for strength. Machiavelli would tell you this: he who is not prepared for fortune's blows will perish. In plain words, if you don't train yourself in hardship, hardship will destroy you. But if you embrace it, if you seek it, you become unbreakable. So make discomfort your ally. Choose the path others avoid. Step into the cold, the silence, the exhaustion, the ridicule. Because when you can remain calm in the most hostile environments, you gain what the weak will never have: control. So I'll ask you, are you training your mind for chaos, or are you waiting for chaos to expose your weakness? 7. Create an alter ego. When your weaker self whispers, quit. When fatigue creeps in, when fear gnaws at your resolve, summon your alter ego. Not the version of you that doubts, not the version that hesitates, but the relentless version, the inner warrior that never accepts defeat. Michael Jordan called his alter ego Black Jesus. Beyoncé unleashed Sasha Fierce. These weren't costumes, they were weapons, masks they could wear when their human side wavered. Because the truth is this: your weaker self will always appear. And unless you have a stronger identity to replace it, you will break. Machiavelli would understand this better than anyone. He wrote that rulers must often assume appearances not their own. To be a lion when strength was needed, to be a fox when cunning was required. The prince who clings only to his natural self is doomed, because life demands masks. He must become many men in one, and wear whichever mask power requires. So why not you? When your body says, "I can't do another rep," call forth the version of you that does not know weakness. When you are terrified before a presentation, let the alter ego walk into the room with cold confidence. When life offers you the perfect excuse to quit, unleash the persona that spits on excuses. At work, this could mean stepping into the identity of a commander instead of an employee, speaking with clarity, not hesitation. In fitness, it could mean imagining yourself as a warrior before every brutal set. In society, it could mean crafting a presence so sharp, so commanding, that people treat you as if you were born to lead, even if, deep down, you're still trembling. Understand this: identity drives behavior. When you act as your weaker self, you will always retreat. But when you act as your alter ego, the persona that knows only conquest, you access strength you didn't know existed. Machiavelli would remind you, men judge more with their eyes than with their hands. In other words, if you appear unstoppable, people will treat you as unstoppable. And over time, that performance becomes reality. You become the mask. So build your alter ego, name it, define it, call it forth in the moments when your weaker self begs for mercy. Because grit is not about never feeling weak, it's about never letting weakness win. So let me ask you, when your body wants to surrender, who will you summon? The weak self that quits, or the alter ego that conquers? So here we are, 7 principles, 7 weapons, 7 brutal truths of grit. We began with vision, the fire that keeps you awake at night. We endured boredom, turned pain into fuel, and cut off every escape. We stacked micro-wins, trained in hostile environments, and summoned alter egos stronger than fear. We built ruthless consistency, redefined failure as intelligence, and anchored it all in something greater, legacy. And now, the choice is yours. You can treat these principles as words, or you can forge them into armor. Because grit is not something you learn once. It's something you live every single day. Machiavelli taught that fortune bends only for those who are relentless, for the ones who refuse to quit, for the ones who suffer forward, bleed forward, and march forward, even when the world laughs, doubts, or resists. So ask yourself, what will they say when you're gone? Will they remember excuses, or will they remember the man or woman who would not break? The world does not belong to the clever. It does not belong to the lucky. It belongs to the gritty. So I'll leave you with this final question. When history looks back, will it whisper that you tried, or will it roar that you endured?
Thanks for spending time with us. If this sparked a new way of thinking, hit like and subscribe to keep the ideas flowing. And don't forget, check the description for the links to the original books and resources we used today. We'll see you in the next one.